All right, Wisdom Moon here with the Songwriters Cafe, and I am joined by the founder of CopyrightSolver.com, Susan Fontaine Godwin. Welcome, Susan.
Thanks, Wisdom. It's great to be here.
So how are you doing today?
Really well. This is so much fun for us because we have been beginning to use Google Hangout for some of our staff meetings and some of our staff, get-togethers, and so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's cool little technology.
Definitely.
So you founded CopyrightSolver.com. Can you tell us the history behind the company?
Sure, you bet. Well, in the year 2000, 12 years ago, I got a phone call from Rick Muchow at Saddleback Church. He was the worship pastor there for a number of years. And he said, Susan, I know that we're not fully, copyright compliant at our church. We've got the CCLI license, but I know we're doing a number of things outside the scope of the CCLI license. Can you help us? And so that's really where it all began. And I like to kid Rick and whenever I have a chance and say, it all started with your phone call. But what happened is I started helping him and realized that there were a lot of churches that needed that kind of help. And so we began in 2001 with Church Copyright Administration, beginning to help several large churches that needed assistance with copyright clearances, needed us to help find solutions for them as they were trying to be copyright compliant. And the easiest way to do that, to get the proper licensing and honor the copyright owners and the songwriters and artists. And so it's been quite a journey over the last, I guess now 11 years, going on 12 years, of really connecting with the Christian community and listening to what they were doing as things evolved with new technology like streaming services online. And so we've really grown out of that, and a lot of it's grown out of our partnership and relationship with churches and ministry artists over the last 10, 11 years. And so a lot of things have developed along those lines, including we started with really what we call Permissions Plus today, where we act on behalf of a client, whether it's a church or ministry or artist, and procuring, obtaining whatever kind of copyright licenses they need that are not covered by a blanket license. And that's kind of been our flagship in a way as to how we help churches and ministries. And we developed the Copyright Solver database, a web-based application that our clients can interact with really cloud storage for their activities, as well as our staff using it. And then out of that, we found that churches wanted to stream legally, so we went to ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC and got licensing with them as a one-stop license for churches to stream. So we developed Worshipcast, and then we developed the Perform Music license for the on-site facility performance licensing for churches. So it's kind of, that's been our focus. It's been pretty exciting because really as we interact with churches and artists and songwriters, we begin to see what the needs are and try to find solutions working with copyright owners and users, and trying to create a digital bridge between the user and the owner to simplify the process. So that's a bit of our history over the last 11 years.
Yeah, and I think you guys are a great resource for churches, because I know our church use your services, and without a company like you knowing how to do all the the right paperwork, I think most churches will be kind of lost with all the legal aspects of things.
Right, and that's really what we're all about. We realize that it can be very overwhelming and confusing, very complex, and kind of people just throw their hands up because it's so hard to figure out what to do. And that's really why we're here, and our heart is to serve the church and the Christian community in that way by providing the solutions and getting the proper licenses.
Yeah, and one new service that you're providing now that I think our listeners will be very excited about is called INDIEadmin. So can you tell us just the basics about INDIEadmin?
You bet. This is pretty exciting for us because it's something that, number one, we've had a lot of requests for over the last several years, and number two, that since my time at Integrity Music, and I was there until 1996, I've seen a real need for that, and that's for independent creatives, really, it's broader than just a songwriter nowadays, but the creative songwriter or independent publisher who really wants to be free to be creative, but knows that they need to have a lot of details taken care of with their copyrights. And so, we're here, we think of ourselves as the creative's new best friend. And we want creative people to be free to do what they do really well, what they're called to do, and that is to be creative. But at the same time, we know that they want to be good stewards of the gift that God's given them in their songs. And so we want to be that kind of left brain arm, if you will, that takes care of all the details and the paperwork and protecting and collecting and licensing and collecting royalties and dispersing royalties, that administrative arm that then, a songwriter who is signed with a large music company, that's kind of all built in, and that's part of what they get when they assign their songs to a publisher. That's part of the job of a publisher, is to take care of all those details. But when you're an independent, who's going to do all that for you? So that's our mission and our heart, is to help the songwriter and the publisher be free to really pursue what God's called them to do, and we can take care of all the various details that are necessary to be a good steward of their songs.
Yeah, and I think a lot of songwriters, when they're starting out, they don't even know what the details are necessarily.
Right.
That they're supposed to take care of, and maybe they might be asking, as they're listening to this, what's the difference between what you guys are doing and what a publisher does?
Yes, that's a very good question. And one of the big things is that we do not want to own any part of your copyright or song. I mean, we're very committed to the songwriter publisher. When I say songwriter publisher, a songwriter is also the publisher until such time as if they choose to convey the publishing rights to a company. And so really, as an independent writer, then you are the writer and the publisher. And so we represent you as the writer and the publisher. We don't want to own any percentage of your song. We want you to retain the ownership, but we want to take care of the administrative tasks that typically a publisher would take care of. So that would involve, number one, protecting your songs, and there's several things that are involved in that. Number one, registering your songs with various agencies such as CCLI, performance rights organization like ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC, as well as the U.S. Copyright Office. Now, you may need all of those, or you may need just some of them. It depends on your particular situation. And so, really getting started, there's a few questions. Are you already affiliated with CCLI as a publisher? Are you affiliated with a performance rights organization yet? And if you're not affiliated with those, then we can help the writer become affiliated to begin with, and then once you're affiliated, we do the registration and indexing process of making sure that all of your songs are indexed and registered and uploaded into those databases, and as you write new songs, that those are uploaded as well. They are also uploaded into our Copyright Solver database, which all of our clients have access to if they're creating a new project, for example, and to get clearances. And so we get all of your data connected to your song uploaded into our Copyright Solver database online as well. So that's part of the protection. Some of the other things involved may be a co-writer agreement or a co-publisher agreement. Make sure that things are in writing. If you're made some agreement or arrangement with somebody, that making sure that's documented and it's not just a verbal, oh yeah, I agree, I'm going to give you 10% of my song because you did this great production or arrangement. But if you don't have something in writing, people's memories change, or they're different after a year, So even if it's a simple letter of agreement, doesn't have to be a 10-page document. Making sure that you're protecting your work. So that's kind of the first thing. The second is licensing, negotiating and licensing proper use of your songs. If somebody's interested in using it and putting it on a CD of their own, doing a custom CD, putting it on a DVD, or maybe they want to stream the song, that the proper licenses are issued at the appropriate rates, and that then those monies are collected in a timely fashion and then paid out to the songwriter. So that's all part of the collection process. You know, I like to tell people, I go back to basics, that if you are a publisher, your job as a publisher or what you do as a publisher is to promote, protect, and collect.
Hmm.
Helps me remember, you know, I have something
Yeah.
that kind of that rhymes. And part of the collection, of course, is disbursement of royalties as well. So our Copyright Solver database, the web-based application, is all designed to automate that process and do as much as possible of that online, even the disbursement of royalties. So that's in a nutshell what we do. Now, in addition to that, there may be situations that come up over the course of time where you need some special consulting on a particular area that's not included in maybe the basic nuts and bolts of the service, and we're available to do that, you know, on an hourly rate basis.
Cool.
And there's various things that can come up. You know, gosh, I got this request from this situation, or somebody wants to do this. What do you think? You know,
Yeah.
and just, we don't give legal advice. I'm not an attorney, and our company's not a legal firm, but we do provide information and kind of practical guidance on some things when they come up.
Yeah, I think the term creative's new best friend is very accurate because, you know, I really do love the fact that you guys, you know, aren't interested in taking a percentage of, you know, the ownership of a song because, you know, if somebody does sign with a publishing company, they typically take, you know, half of the ownership and royalty. So I love
Right.
that all that still stays with the songwriter or the artist, and you guys basically are trying to help, you know, the artist and the, you know, songwriter do what they do best, and not have to worry
Exactly.
about all the paperwork that most of us don't even know what we're supposed to be doing.
Right, exactly. And you know, certainly we have a lot of educational material online that we've developed that's free downloadable material that can also kind of give give the songwriter an idea of what they should be thinking about. You know, getting started, sort of the basics in getting started, some things they should be considering. But our real mission is to allow the creative to be free to focus on what you do well, and let us do what we do well, and do it as a service to you. But of course, you know, we have to get paid, and it's paid based on what you need. You know, you may not need registration, so you don't have to pay for that.
Yeah.
But and the other thing is that one of the things that's different about INDIEadmin is that we will pay any royalty receipts, anything we've received in the way of revenue will be paid every month, and 100% of that is paid for custom licensing or non-commercial licensing. And so once again, we're just trying to make sure that the money's passing through directly to the songwriter almost as soon as we get it. You know, we don't want to sit on your money for 90 days and then another 45 days because it's your money. You know, if we've received money for something where your song is being used, we want it to be very transparent. We want you to see it online through your account. Oh, wow. You know, Gateway recorded my song and they made, I'm sorry, Gateway, they're friends of ours, so I don't think they'll mind. And anybody be happy if Gateway recorded one of their songs, I'm sure. But, you know, okay, so you can go online and look at your account and say, oh, gosh, you know, they issued a license to Gateway on May 15th, and they, you know, they made 3,000 CD units, and here's what I got paid for that. We want it to be very transparent, just like if you went to your online banking account, you could see what's going on at any given time.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I'm really excited about INDIEadmin. Even when you initially told me about, you know, the new service before it launched, I was really excited because I have a lot of, you know, artists and songwriter friends. I think that can really benefit from it, and I'm sure our listeners will benefit from it. So as you're listening, be sure to check out copyrightsolver.com and just click on the INDIEadmin tab. And Copyright Solver and Susan have been very gracious and offered a special promo to our listeners here. And you can use the promo code TSC Podcast. And when you use that promo code, you'll receive 10% off of all their services, a Publishing Basics fact sheet, which would be really helpful for any of us who, need to know about publishing. And a free downloadable MP3 from one of their new indie artists, Rebecca Law, and it's entitled Ransomed, and it's co-written with the worship legend Don Moen.
The worship legend. You've interviewed Don before, haven't you?
I've talked to him before. I don't know if I've interviewed him yet.
Gosh, that would be a good one for you.
Yeah.
They're over in Tanzania right now, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Doing a concert, but yeah, Don is great about co-writing and working with young writers and artists, and I think a lot of folks can learn a lot from him, and we're very thrilled that he was actually our first INDIEadmin client, along with Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir. So
awesome.
Right, yeah, and then we also have Ed Carr. Cartoons is one of our indie clients.
Oh, cool.
And it's growing quite a bit. We'll have some other pretty cool announcements coming up about that as people join our INDIEadmin family.
Great. And you can definitely keep updated with what's happening with Copyright Solver by following them on Twitter at Copyright Solver, and you can also follow them on Facebook and see what they're up to. And definitely check out their website for resources and educational material.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for joining us, Susan.
Thank you. Thanks, Wisdom. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to partnering with you on this podcast.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm very excited for what's happening with, let me see if I got to say this right, the Songwriter Cafe?
Songwriters Cafe, yeah.
Songwriters Cafe.
You're very close.
Pretty close. So pretty excited about that and what you're doing there, and looking forward to being involved and seeing that community grow. As I know you're going to be continuing to provide great resources and information for them. Hey, can I mention one more thing?
Yeah, definitely.
That we forgot to touch on that's really pretty important? One of the exciting developments that we've been able to negotiate is an agreement with YouTube on behalf of all of our INDIEadmin song publishers, whereby we act as an aggregator for indie publishers in licensing YouTube for what really is synchronization rights for their songs, so that we can upload their songs into YouTube's content management system. And if that music shows up on a user-generated video with YouTube, then we can authorize monetization for that. So there's some great revenue opportunities for songs if they show up on the YouTube user-generated videos.
That is really exciting news.
I almost overlooked that, so I apologize. I should have talked about that early on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Susan.
You bet. Great to be with you. Thanks, Wisdom.